Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, it is Sunday night again and it's time for another live stream. I hope we are all working. I'm just looking across at the levels. It all looks good, so hopefully everything is behaving as expected. This week we're going to be talking about HDZero. We're going to talk about the new Nano V2 camera. Let me just get that right. We're also going to talk a little bit about the open source side of things and how that is developing with regards to VTX firmware and how you can actually go and get that. We'll give some updates on the situation with the DJI Avata because this week has been leak central. I don't think I have ever seen so many leaks in such a short period of time for a DJI product. And the funny thing is that dam that was holding all of this in seemed to be all of the information a few of us had that wasn't sending it out, but then Blunty posted some stuff, and since then it's just been a huge amount that's come out, and we will probably talk about some other stuff along the way as well. Now, as always, if you've got any questions, if you've got anything you'd like to ask, put it in the chat. I will try and answer it. Super chats are always massively welcomed. However, they are not required for me to answer a question, but it may get noticed a bit quicker if they are. Now, I'm just going to hop over to the chat and say hello to a few people. Hello, Sheep That Bleep. That's a great name. First man in today. Can a drone be controlled by the headset? We'll come on to that in a minute. Hello, Ramdonko, Michael, Roddy, Thomas, CRB Runner, TS13. There is probably too many people for me to say. I think I just saw, let me just keep going down here. Who else we got? CB Runner, PT Puff FPV, TS13 FPV. How are you, Dennis? 13 FPV. Floor Flyer, how are you, my friend? Metal Scorpion FPV, hi, how are you, my friend? Mirror World Labs, hello. Getting ready to go live, getting his makeup ready in the background. As always, I am always getting my makeup ready. Craig Davidson, hello. Craig David, it's got to be done. Flying Dutchman, hello, my friend. Craig Davidson, I've said that one. GMI, hello, GMI. Isaac, I crash a lot. Hello, Jekyll. I'm going to have to stop in a minute because we will go on forever. Hello, all of you, and thank you for coming. So I hope you have had... Oh, cheers. Oh, Siati sent you guys over, did he? That's very kind of him. I hope he is safe and well. I didn't get a chance to catch his stream, actually. I've been out and about. I've only just got back about an hour ago. I've been testing some stuff. Good evening, Type. How are you? Hello, Gary. How are you? CMYKFPV. Oh, it's very kind. So, it's been an interesting week. For me, it's been a bit of a weird week because I have spent it pretty much ill again, if I'm honest. I had human malware, not last week, the week before. And it just, whatever it seemed to have done to me this week, it's just sent me all over the place. I've been up, I've been down, I've had a cold. I've had what I thought was hay fever, which turns out to be something else. Yesterday, I pretty much spent 12 hours sneezing, continuously unable to do anything. Yet today, nothing at all. So the bizarre ongoing result of human malware for the second time continues. Hopefully, I've kicked it into touch this week and it should be okay. Now, as I've said, there's a lot to talk about this week because it has been an interesting week in FPV. And whilst things are beginning to slow a little bit, we are starting to see the dust settle around the Avatar system. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background on that one. I've been testing some stuff, which I can't really talk about, just firmware. And whilst things aren't perfect, things seem to be getting better, but it remains to be seen if that better is good enough. We had Bot Grinder's review of the system as well, which was, as always with Bot, was a fantastic video. I'm not exactly sure why he had the issues he was seeing quite so bad. I'll be honest, I'm wondering if he's got something else going on. I haven't spoke to him, but his looked particularly bad, and I have to say, I don't think what I've shown is that bad. I have very much had bad experience, but that seemed to cut off pretty bad indeed. So I don't know what was going on there. Oh, good evening, Bruce. However, you know, you got Bot's review of it as well. I think it's really hard right now to review this system properly because it doesn't work properly. So I think reviewing it is a difficult task. And whilst I have done a review on this product, I think it's fair to say it's an early look because it really isn't where it needs to be. And that's the reality. But let's see as time goes on. But it was a very good video. I did enjoy it as well. Forget the quality, feel the width. Yeah, yeah. It's got some work to do, but it's getting better. And some of the stuff I've seen is promising. Not all of it, but some of it is promising. And I think it's heading in the right way. I'm trying to give as much feedback as I can because they've asked for it. So I'm going to give it. So hopefully we might see this system improve in the future. However, that doesn't mean things are not going on elsewhere. And this leads us very nicely onto our first subject. I'm going to pop that up on the screen. And that is this, the new Runcam HDZero Nano V2 for the HDZero system. Now, this is a bit of a complicated thing to explain, and I've had to go back and have a look at this myself today because even I've lost track of where HDZero's at. And part of the problem with HDZero right now has been there has been so many improvements. It's easy to forget how far this system has come. But we've now got the new HDZero Micro V2, which is basically a smaller version of the... we've got the new HDZero Nano V2, which is basically a smaller version of the Micro. Nano. Oh, God, I've lost it. Right. See, this is why it all goes to crap. We're going to try again. We've got the new HDZero Nano V2, which is a smaller version of the Micro V2. It has the same half-inch sensor. It has the same resolution, but it is in a smaller package, slightly different lens. But they've also introduced a new full 16:9 field of view mode, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, this camera is really pushing HDZero forward with the quality in the sense of it really has allowed the system now to have parity between all of the cameras. It has been interesting to see how HDZero has developed. ATX Airborne has got a video on it, and he's also got a fantastic website that he's done this on, actually, where he shows the differences between the cameras. You can see it there. So we've got the Micro V2, the Nano V2, and the new Whoop Light V2. No, the Whoop Light camera, which they all use the same sensor. The basic difference is the lens, and that's the big difference between them. Now, the real interesting thing with this new camera on this one is that they've introduced a new mode, and that is this full width 16:9 mode. Now, I haven't got this camera to show you yet. I'm going to order one in, but the very basics of this mode is, and if I go back to this, you can see it shown here in the spec. The way this camera is set up is that it is a 16:9 sensor at all times. They then crop that 16:9 sensor to 4:3 wide for the standard 4:3 mode. And then for 16:9 mode, they actually crop that 4:3 again, top and bottom, to get a 16:9. Now, that full sensor size is over 1080p. So when they crop it down to 4:3, it is still much larger than 720. And then when they crop it to 16:9 from that 4:3, you're getting a roughly 720p image area. But it is cropped down from the full sensor size. However, they have introduced this full 16:9 mode, which just shows the full 16:9 area of the sensor, which gives you much bigger field of view, but it does come with vignetting because the lens isn't able to cover the full area of the sensor. So that is something interesting that we haven't seen before. It's a new option on the cameras, and it's going to be interesting to see how that looks in the real world. It's good to see HDZero releasing cameras, and they really do have a very nice, solid set of cameras for this system now. We've got the Micro V2, which is probably the best camera for this system, period. It's the one I've got. It just looks fantastic. Best overall image quality, best overall camera. You've now got the Nano V2 with the same sensor as this one. The original Nano V1 actually had the same sensor as the original Micro, which was a smaller sensor, but you've now got that. And then you've got the new Whoop Light camera, which is very, very good as well. Again, all using that same sensor, just different lenses and different size configurations. If you haven't updated the camera on your HDZero system for some while, these are going to be worth a look because they are much, much better overall. Now, alongside all of this, there has been a lot of changes with regards to the way the open source side of things has been moving forward on HDZero. And if you go on to GitHub, you've now got the HDZero VTX firmware area where you have the ability to not only feedback new features and capabilities, but actually build your own firmware as well. And the nice thing about this is we now have firmware versions being built every time there's a small fix, but before the next major release. So the easiest way to explain this is HDZero at the moment are continuing to release their main master builds. So if you go onto the HDZero website, so if I just go onto here, HDZero.com, you can see under support and downloads, you have their standard releases listed under here with the latest one up here, which is that version 11.06.22. So that is the latest major release on the website. However, the nice thing is, as they've been updating changes on the firmware in the background and little bug fixes, that has been triggering new firmware releases on the GitHub site. So if you go onto the HDZero GitHub and actually go over to Actions, you can see here that over the last period, there's been little changes being made to the firmware, and you have now access to what is basically like daily builds in ArdraPilot. So if we look here, just 10 hours ago, more micro optimizations. If we click on that, and you can now see that there are firmware versions available to download for this on the GitHub, so you can actually do this straight away. You can download it if you want to. You can see where the targets are. You've got the builds down there, and you can actually download the pre-built files ready to use if you want to. And it's nice to see that available as well as part of it, which means you're going to be able to try these new builds as they make improvements and features as they go along without having to wait for them to actually release full versions. So for instance, if I click on the full versions, you can see here the builds all took place. So if I go for the freestyle, and then we have the option of downloading them as well from the website. So the nice thing with this is you do have the ability now to get updates and features much quicker than you could before, and hopefully that will help with the little bugs and the little improvements as we see HDZero move forward. Let me just catch up on the chat a minute. Let me start at the bottom and move up. Floor Flyer, good evening, Bruce. I showed some HD on the goggles and was impressed. Let me just scroll back up. XJet, see what we've got. Evening, Ian. Good evening, David. I hope you're well. Hi, Mads Tech. Much respect. Hello, Quad City Bay Area. I hope you're safe and well, my friend. Steely's latest video had some nice bokeh. I want FPV with bokeh. We all want FPV with Tony. What Tony number, though? If we're talking about bokeh, it's got to be at least Tony 1.5 if we're going to have bokeh on FPV. Gary, let me just read up what Gary's been saying. Oh, let me just catch up here. Try harder next. What's Gary been saying? Okay, you can start now. Good evening. What else has Gary said? Try harder next time, Bruce. Bruce tried to miss the stream. Flying Dutchman talking about the Avatar system QC issues, maybe. I'm doing a documentary video explaining why drone delivery and automated air taxis will never be viable in our lifetimes. That'll upset a few people, says Bruce. He always likes to upset people. So, yeah, that's the situation with HDZero. Things have moved forward. Things are getting real improvements. The HDZero Event VRX is awesome. I crash a lot. I'd like to try that. Thanks him. I can't say his name, but will remote ID affect us anytime soon in the UK? No. Basically, that's been kicked into the long grass again in the UK. Not anytime soon. They're nowhere near ready for it. Am I going to Drone Fest this week? It isn't looking like it at the moment. We're going to have to see. There is a possibility, but it isn't confirmed. I hate the full screen rainbow screen. Anyone else looking forward to HDZero goggles? Absolutely. Let me just... Oh, Quad City Bay Area, a massive thank you for the super chat, my friend. $5. That is massively appreciated. Thank you for that. I'm also just reaching across. There's something on the screen of my monitor. That doesn't want to come off. Thank you for that. That's massively appreciated. It's an interesting time for sure. Analog is still my favorite at the moment. Yeah, I'm pretty much all digital now. It's just which one you choose. It's definitely an interesting time though for FPV. Got my 3D printer now, so Bruce is looking at making an alternative transmitter case that will allow the Zorro to have 18 650s. That would be nice. I was thinking, Bruce, of just printing something to go on the module bay on the back, the micro bay. I was just going to print it. Actually, there are prints already on Thingiverse for that you just clip it on and clip it into the bottom. I think that's probably the safest way forward. The simplest way forward at the very least. So that. Okay, so that is all the updates for HDZero. If anyone's got any questions on that, please do let me know. They are marching forward. The next big thing from HDZero is obviously the goggles, and we're all waiting on them. Yes, it's been a bit quiet on HDZero. There's been a huge amount of talk on the Avatar system in the last few weeks. It's always going to be that way when there's something new out. However, HDZero is certainly not down and out. They are certainly doing a lot of work in the background, a lot of great work, and there's a lot of stuff to come from them in the future. That's interesting. Jimmy Thurr, I noticed that the sharpness setting on the Walksnail system affects mine. If I set it over 4, I get blocking. If I get below 4, I get little to none. That's interesting. I haven't tried that. That's very interesting. That's very interesting indeed. I flew today with new firmware, and it's not fixed, but some things are better. Runcon had a similar issue on their cams. I'll need to check. What is the default sharpness? Does anyone know what the default sharpness is? Yeah, there's a lot to come from HDZero. You know, there was a lot of fuss over HDZero when that system released, and now we're all waiting on the goggles. The goggles is the big one. We've got the VTXs, we've got the cameras, we're just waiting on the goggles now. I think that's the real push forward for the HDZero system is the goggles. I think it's going to make it, just as a package, it makes the system much, much nicer. And yes, Bruce, thank you for that. I haven't got mine in here. Unfortunately, mine are in the house, so I can't fire mine up to have a look. If anyone knows what the default sharpness is, I'll be intrigued to know. I have flown it today in 4x3 mode. It's actually quite good. Much better than 16:9, actually. Rather interestingly. I also have a feeling that something that has been noticed on HDZero is also happening on the Avatar system as well. Now, I'll show you guys this quickly, and you can tell me your thoughts on this, okay? I haven't got the footage from the drone today, but let me just find a bit of footage a second. Because we should be able to see it on any footage. Let me just think. I don't need moving footage. I just need footage. Here we go. Okay. Now I'm going to have to move. Why is it showing more motor on one side than the other? Now, I'm seeing this consistently. My camera is straight in the frame. I have double-checked this. I have triple-checked this. Now, this phenomenon has been seen on HDZero as well. And one of the HDZero guys has mentioned this, and that is that his cameras are not looking straight on HDZero. He's actually created a test rig for this, and he is seeing it on his HDZero cameras that it's exactly the same. And I'm also seeing it on the Avata cameras as well. Little interesting. It's like the sensor isn't straight in the camera body, but it isn't unique to Avata, and it's happening on both of my cameras. Both of them are the same. The two different lenses, the two different ones are exactly the same. But it's also happening in HDZero. Weird. Really, really weird. I'd be interested if anyone else has got it, but it is clear as day. Sorry, let me just move that up the screen a little bit so you guys can see. Put that there. It is clear as day. It's definitely happening. DJI does that too. I wouldn't be shocked. We've seen it on HDZero, and it seems to be on the Avatar system too. It's rotation of the Earth, Bruce says. Very, very strange indeed. But it's also happening on HDZero, apparently. That's common on analog cameras too. Yeah, very strange. I thought you had seen the Avatar footage crisp. I have at some point. Not in that one. Do I have the crisp one on this lot? Is it that one? Yeah, that's the good one, isn't it? Let's have a look. Is this the good one? Yeah, this is the good one. This was the good one where I was testing it very specifically. And it was okay. I was more than happy with how this was performing. If the CMOS sensor is a bit off in the camera, it could be causing it being out of focus a little, causing the mushiness. Could be. Why would Walksnail release a quality worse than DJI? I think people have to understand Walksnail are starting from scratch. I think we have to be fair to what they have achieved. My problem isn't with the product. My problem was how it's been marketed at the start. The very fact that Walksnail have delivered a HD system that virtually works, and I'll say the word virtually works, as good as DJI, is impressive in itself. Now, today, it isn't as good as DJI overall. There is no question, in some ways, it is better. The overall image quality is fantastic when it works. It has the potential. The goggles are very good. It's not DJI. There are a lot of good reasons here. But it's hard to complain at them when they... Look, DJI have been making wireless FPV systems since 2013. The FPV isn't new to DJI. Whilst they might be new to FPV, they are not new to making FPV systems. The O3 feed quality will make it look like analog. It could be very, very good. It could be very, very good. I haven't seen any footage from what's coming from DJI. What is interesting is that latency numbers are a little higher overall when you add them up from what we've seen on the spec, which is to be expected. You know, people are thinking about, like, don't expect magic. There will probably be a 1080 mode as we understand it. That'll have higher latency. You can't have you can't have everything you want. There is an effect to it. The more data you push, the bigger the problem will be. So DJI is going to suffer many of the same problems as everyone else suffers, because there's no magical solution to bending the laws of physics. The laws of physics apply. They have a 40 meg width carrier, and you only have so much data you can pump through it. The more you compress that data, the worse the image quality is going to look. The higher the resolution, the more you have to compress that data to get it into the same pipeline. So the overall problems remain the same. There is nothing magical that DJI can do to make it instantly be amazing. But what they can do is use much better quality cameras and show you, and then use their existing codec in a better way with the experience they have to show a very good image. Now, it is looking like the OcuSync 3 system is going to be much better, but that's probably because of the camera largely and the resolution. Latency. Chris Rosser did latency comparison. I am aware. I saw the data before he published it. HD analog was worse than DJI Walksnail latency. Has everyone been comparing on a HDR trip now? Yeah, I did know about Chris's numbers. Chris shared them with me in advance. Me and Chris talk quite a bit in the background. We were messaging today, in fact. We always bounce stuff off each other and stuff. And Chris has seen some really interesting things in his Avatar latency test. And actually, there's a whole conversation point around that video in itself, because they're doing something rather interesting in Avatar HD, which is they're caching the frame and displaying it line by line rather than dumping the whole frame on the screen, which is adding basically one full frame of latency, and we don't fully understand why they're doing it. I think I understand. I think I know, and it's to do with image smoothing and smoothing the image out, because that's something that is done in OLED TVs as well. And just to give you an idea, the iPhone does not globally throw the image at the display either. The iPhone writes the display image line by line, top to bottom. So if you actually watch your phone on the side, the image is actually drawn across the side. So it isn't particularly unusual for a digital image to be drawn line by line, even where they could draw it as a global refresh of the panel. It's partly done for motion smoothing and stopping tearing and things like that. But what it does do is potentially add one full frame of latency to the image reaching the display. But what you're then balancing is smoothness versus latency. And actually, you could still perceive the image looks better and the latency is lower, even though you're adding latency through drawing it line by line. And it is an interesting situation, actually, that whole thing. Chris's video shows it very nicely, and there's been a lot of trying to understand why they're doing it that way in the background, but that's why we believe they're drawing it line by line, which is quite interesting indeed. DJI did the HD system that no one else could, so I believe they could do something brutal again. We're not expecting the camera is the big important part. Look, you've got to take into account the camera is the big limiting factor on how good the image looks to start with. It always is, always has been. So if the camera's good, the image will look good to start. Then when we're talking about what else you need to do, you're then simply talking about keeping the latency the same. There's no new codec. You know, DJI is still using H.264. They're not. They're using the same chipset. Nothing has changed. It's the same pipeline. It's just what they're putting into it. OcuSync 3 is not really any different to OcuSync 2. It is the same chipset. It is the same fundamental underlying code. All it is a tweak. DJI marketed as something massive, but it is fundamentally the same. It's exactly the same as DJI's wireless video system right now. You've got this new wireless system that was shown on Linus. That's still based on the P1. It's still based on H.264. It's still based on 40 megs bandwidth. The same rules apply. They have a 40 megs wide carrier, which can support 50 to 60 megabits a second maximum. So that pipe is fixed. Their codec is H.264. They can improve it, they can tweak it, they can make it better, but the same pipeline. You're pushing this different data down the same pipeline, and that is the restricting factor right now. I am expecting the new OcuSync system to look very, very good because I think the camera will make a massive difference. If anyone's flown the FPV drone, you will know how much better it looks, even though it's a very mild bump in resolution. It is literally jumping from 720p to 810p. It's not the resolution that makes the FPV drone look so much better. It's the camera. The overall performance of the camera is just dramatically better compared to the FPV one. And that's what you're going to see on OcuSync 3. When the air unit comes out, it's a bit of a strange looking thing, but it is what it is from what we've seen. The camera isn't going to suit everyone, and we'll move on to the Avata now in a moment, but the camera isn't like an FPV camera. It's really more like a mini action camera, and it's got a big plate front glass lens. It's not a replaceable lens. So, you know, and the chances are it's going to be a DJI only camera. There probably won't be cameras from third parties looking at this. So it's not necessarily going to be the perfect solution for every person, especially the people who smash up their FPV quads. DJI FPV drone. The camera will make a massive difference. The camera will make a huge, huge difference. That's where the real improvement comes. The pipeline is the same. It's just what goes in is what comes out. Anyone thought about making an analog video system with high resolution and panel NTSC? Bruce has discussed it. Analog HD has been discussed a few times. It's just difficult. A potato is twice as good as the DJI FPV cones camera. Yeah, you know, that would, and I'll be honest, the camera on the FPV drone wasn't very good for recording. It was actually very good for live view. It was shocking for recording. Do you know if the new system will work with the old air units? That is a complicated answer. Our understanding is that the new goggles will work with the old air units, but it isn't 100% confirmed. Our understanding is yes. But that, you've got to take into account, even what the testers are testing may still not reach the thing. No, we'll do the Avatar leaks in a minute. Oh, sorry, the Avatar leaks in a minute. We'll move on to them now. Except in poor light, DJI FPV goggles image is better than anything. DJI's technology. DJI's doing nothing special. People need to stop thinking DJI is a magical company that does things that no one else can do. What they're doing is building upon what they've been doing for a very long time. Yeah, Lon is right on that. The DJI FPV drones camera is better than FPV cameras. That's absolutely the fact. It just still wasn't very good. DJI isn't anything magical. They're just experience and years of experience. You know, that's where the big difference here between Avatar and DJI is. The Avata camera is going to surprise everyone. It's not the camera I'm particularly worried about, it's the drone. So, this leads us on nicely. We suppose we should get onto it. Let's get onto it. The Avata. Screws on it as well. Potentially leaves the door open for aftermarket antennas. Pinky, I thought the same. Those screws are not there to hold it on, are they? This is building on top of Laura. Yeah, DJI is building on top of existing. DJI is building on top of years of experience. You know, their chipset, you know, this chipset, this ASIC is like 5 years old now. It's not new. It's been around a while. Okay, so let's do this, shall we? So it all started with Blunty leaking some of the images. Now, we'd seen these up front. I'd seen these as well, and we all had. But after this, there was a huge raft of leaks. We got this image come out showing some people flying the Avatar goggles up there. You can see them on his head. And the Avata, not the Avatar goggles, sorry, the Vision 2, FPV goggles 2 up there. And their new Avata drone down here. and the damn motion controller in his hand as well. We then had a box leak a little bit later. And then we've had all of these images come out. So what you can see here is the Avata with the battery at the back. Doesn't appear to be any existing battery. It appears to be very much a new battery, typical DJI. We've then got this little box at the front here, which I believe is the GPS and AirSense system located in here. It's a lot smaller than we thought. You can then see from this side here the depth on that. We've got the motors, we've got the props. The design, you can see this isn't very deep, and it looks semi-modular, actually. And the reason I think it looks modular is it's going to allow them to actually, well, allow them to sell parts so people can replace bits in itself. You can see there that there's a large gap under there. That box really isn't very big. Pretty much the GPS has to be in that because it can't be anywhere else, basically. You've then got the camera there. Now, the interesting thing with the camera is it's mounted on the bottom on this subframe. You can see the subframe runs under here with the bits going up here with rubber isolators on each side. So the camera is actually going up from the bottom. And then there's been more images of someone flying with, well, I don't know what this remote is. That's definitely the Goggles version 2. And there's been a whole host of Goggles 2. There's been a whole host of videos and stuff as well. I actually downloaded one. Let me find the one I downloaded. Now, this is someone flying it with that motion controller again. What we learned from the video is the damn thing is very, very loud. That is for sure. You can see it's not particularly a big video. There's been a few videos posted online, but they're clearly flying it with the motion controller. We're going to assume at this point it uses the same remote as the FPV drone because we haven't seen a new remote. We're assuming it works with the remote from the FPV drone. But really, more than anything, you know, it's been Leak City. It really has. Camera sensor, we don't know how big it is. We simply don't know. That lens looks fairly large. We don't have perspective on this to have an understanding of size. Could it be 1 inch? Probably not. Probably one of those newer mid-size sensors. Probably bigger than a 1/2 inch. Might be 1/2 inch instead of 1/3. But then you can see that little box at the top. So, yeah, it's interesting. That battery definitely doesn't look the same as anything we've had. It's definitely new. I've not seen one like that. And you can see it slides in. And then it looks like the main board with all the electronics on runs along the bottom there. You have got those larger sensors that we've seen in like the Autel. Not the 1 inch, but the... can't remember, the 1/17. It could be one of them. Gimbal looks vertical. Yeah, someone said no gimbal. You are right. There's no twist on the gimbal, but we suspect it's image stabilization, and that would probably make sense if they're using that larger sensor. A bit like the DJI Action 2 in that side of things that allows it to do the full rotate. So yeah, it's interesting. I have some concerns over what sort of product it is going to be to fly. We're going to have to wait and see, but it exists. It's happening. It won't be far off. The belief at this moment in time is about the 26th of August, but there is talk of that being delayed, but we don't know at this moment in time. We know that there's going to be a combo with the FPV Goggles 2, or Goggles 2. Or sorry, I shouldn't call them FPV Goggles, Goggles 2. Our understanding with the Goggles 2 is that they support the Avata drone, the OcuSync 3 ear unit, and potentially the old system. And then the V2 goggles are getting a firmware update to support this drone and the OcuSync 3 ear unit. But there is talk of there being delayed. I'm not sure how much fuss DJI are going to make on this. The talk was the KOLs got access last week. They were sent out last week. DJI are doing a massive amount of promotion right now. They're trying to sell Mini 3s. They're trying to sell anything. I'm guessing sales are a little down, I'll be honest. The amount of advertising they're doing is crazy right now. You're seeing it pop up everywhere. They're certainly spending some money. It's interesting. They're showing it with that motion controller. I'm really not sure about that, I'll be honest. But look, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. What I will tell you is this. This product will not be designed for the FPV community. DJI really doesn't make products for the FPV community. Just so you understand, DJI makes products for large segments. The FPV drone was being marketed at Mavic pilots who wanted more from their drone. It was never marketed at FPV pilots. This will be the same. Notice the people who were flying it there. You had a guy on a motorbike flying it. They will be aiming this product at people who like doing adventure sports. You wait for the marketing video. It'll be sort of surfers, bikers, people who want something that sort of tracks them and follows them and they can fly it simply and easily. This is not a product for those people of us who build FPV drones, just like the FPV drone wasn't a product for us. It will be aimed at those people. The FPV market is too small. It's tiny. It isn't big enough for DJI. DJI's target market is everyone else. They will want to sell you something for something that's simple that you can use without having experience flying drones. That is why the motion controller exists. It's for that purpose. GPS guys, the guys who fly Mavics, the people who want more, the people, it'll be surfers, kite surfers, people doing action sports, and then Mavic users, Mini users who want something a bit more exciting. It will be the Rotor Riot selling it as a beginner drone. I won't comment on that. It's not for us. And I'm not saying people won't enjoy it, people won't use it. I'm not saying that, but you got to take into account it'll have return to home. I don't ever see DJI making a drone without full GPS, full return to home. The belief is it doesn't have acro mode. All of the noise I've heard is that there is no acro mode on this drone. Now, whether that is true or not is another question. I don't know, but that was what I heard. But what it looks like is, I think what they have done is learnt some lessons on this product. And they learnt that lesson about 2 days before launch when JB smashed his into his fence and ripped the arm off. And the lesson they've learned is people are going to smash these up. And what I think they will do is make a lot of parts for this available. That's why it has this sort of modular look to it, because it has everything replaceable. If you look at all the sort of screws and everything are exposed, that's quite unusual for DJI. So if you look here, you've got a screw here, screw there. You've got the motors, nice and easy to access. You've got this, which looks like it's held in place with just 2 screws here. I do wonder if the GPS is actually tilting on the front. So as the drone tilts forward, the GPS tilts down. You can see that there. It looks like it's potentially hinged at the front. Does sort of make sense that you would want to tilt the GPS to keep having clear view of the sky. But it does look modular in that sense. You can see down here, all of this looks modular. All of this looks replaceable. So I do wonder if they have learnt their lesson from the FPV drone, and that lesson is that people are going to smash it up and they're not going to want to send it in all of the time. It looks a far more repairable product than DJI's current FPV drone. I think, look under here. There's a huge gap here. Look at that there. Look, there's a massive space around the back of the camera there and that area there. So I think it's going to be sort of semi-modular repairable, and you can buy all of the parts as building blocks, not necessarily boards, but you buy them as a building block that plugs in. So you'll have a main board that runs underneath under this area here. That's quite well protected. You probably won't break that, but you've got your GPS there and your other bits separate. That's how I'm interpreting it. The props look pitchy. It sounded really loud. Really loud. In the videos that have been posted on Facebook. I wonder how many organs you'll have to sell to buy spare batteries. Yeah, you know, you're probably talking $150. It might not tilt. I just wondered when I looked at this, did it tilt? It just looks like it moves. I could be wrong. It could just be the way it's held in. It does look modular, repairable. Do I think JB will get the Avatar system for review? I have no idea. I don't know who DJI will talk to. All I can tell you is they're not talking to me. So there we go. I have no idea if I'll be honest, I would not be shocked if he didn't get it. And I don't mean that as JB isn't big in FPV. I'm just not convinced they're going to market this to FPV. I'm just not convinced. But we'll have to see. They would be, as the biggest name in FPV, YouTubers, key opinion leaders, whatever you want to call JB, because he is a KOL, I would be astonished if he didn't get sent it. But I also wouldn't be surprised if you saw this mostly reviewed by the likes of iPhonedo, what's the other people? iJustine, the Casey Neistats. I tell you who will, Peter McKinnon will 100% have it. You know, those kind of peoples. Nurk Potato Jet. Potato Jet, 100%. He's very in with DJI. Nurk, probably. Yeah, DJ Ramos get when he sees all the DJI stuff. Look, DJI like to work with people that say the message that they want said. Now, I'm not saying they're influenced, but a lot of these channels don't always go quite as I do or some others. So it is what it is. It will be what it will be. I will be buying it because I need a set of V3 goggles. V2, oh God. I need a set of goggles too. So I'll just buy the drone and the goggles. I'll do it that way. So I will review it and I will tell you what I think about it. As always, Billy Kyle, definitely. DJI likes to work with certain parties in a certain way, and I blew that when I kicked off with the FPV drone and I wasn't happy with how they were handling it. That was when I sort of ended that relationship. I did speak with DJI about 2 weeks ago. I will be open with you on that. I spoke to a marketing contact and we had a very nice conversation, and that's where it ended over this. What is a KOL? A key opinion leader. Throw the motion controller across the field and say, here's an analog video. Yeah, key opinion. DJI reduced the amount of people they were working with, but also they want to work with people who get the message across in a certain way. Okay, if I published the contract that I was given for the FPV drone, it would astonish a few people. And I pulled out of it. You would be shocked. Let's just say you're incentivized a certain way. So that's why it wouldn't work for me. But I'm open to reviewing it, but I will say what I think. There is no in between on that. It's non-negotiable. You know, so... But I'll be ordering it because I need the Vision goggles too. Because I sold my goggle Vision 2 because I sold my FPV drone. I am tempted to buy a set of goggles Vision 2 as well, but I don't know. I don't know. Would love to see that content out of sheer interest. But yeah, it will be what it will be. You know, I don't even have a clue on pricing for this product. See, the thing is, this is the contradiction in my head about this system. The goggles look really premium, but do you guys think this is a premium drone? What do you think the pricing of this drone is going to be? Because at the moment, we're looking a bit weird here. We have sort of a drone which feels $200-$300, And then we have a set of goggles, which feels like $600. 1388 with the Fly More combo. Wow. Wow. Everyone make sure everything is politically correct. The PC police are in the chat. The drone doesn't look particularly... You know what I mean? At least the FPV drone looked like a bit of substance. You know, I'm not being funny. It's hard to say that's a $600 drone. Isn't it? You know, it's a Cinewhoop. $650. Wow. Wow. If it has a $200 air unit in it, what's a bag of sand nowadays? Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's $600 a tech and a $50 drone. Just half a kidney. That's funny. Okay. Could be selling an image producers. Yeah, it's going to have to produce some image. Okay, guys, let's play nice, please. Let's not let things get nasty. Designed obsolescence of DJI stuff is one of the things that flew at Vision 1. One of the things that flew some of the Vision 1 hassle gimbals whenever it worked there. They turned their back on users and never trust DJI again. Yeah, that's possibly... Lon makes an interesting point of you won't need a GoPro. But it won't be as good as a GoPro. And that has always been their problem. As good as the Action 2 is, it's not as good as a GoPro, is it? And this is the problem. If it's 80% as good as a GoPro, is it worth it? This is the interesting question. This is, if it was as good as a GoPro, 100% as good as a GoPro, I think they could be in with a chance. But DJI to this day has still never made a camera that is as good as a GoPro in the same size. The Action 2 is very, very good, but it still isn't quite a GoPro. That's the problem, isn't it? Assume the video recording being as good as the Mavic. Yeah, because we understand it's using the Eagle chipset. Don't know if I was allowed to say that, but I have. But we believe it is using the Eagle 2, which is their main image processor chipset. 10-bit color. Yeah, it has the potential for all of that stuff. Yeah. But this is going to be the problem. So the DJI Version 2 will be backwards compatible with the new ear unit. As we understand, yes. Forwards compatible, we would call it. But this is the interesting thing. Let's say it is 90% as good as a GoPro. Is that worth it for most people? As a Cinewhoop. That can't potentially do acro mode. That's the question. Bobby Bugs, do I know how JB's doing? I don't. I believe he had human malware. Funny enough, he had it a couple of days after me, I think. I don't really speak to JB. I have no idea. Do I think the Goggles Vision 2 will have OLEDs? Yes. That is what we believe from the stuff we know. We believe the new goggles, and this is not confirmed, we believe the Goggles 2 will work with the ear units. That has been said. Not seen, but it has been said. But nothing is 100% on that. It wasn't on the spec list that some of us were showed, but the notes were that it will be compatible. But that might not be on day one either. It is an interesting... for 4 minutes from now. Oh, JB's got a live stream in 4 minutes, does he? Ah, okay. Backwards compatible will absolutely murder the Walksnail Fat Shark goggle sales. Yeah, it's going to cause them problems. What's better than a GoPro? That's the question. Good afternoon. Has JB got a stream scheduled 1 hour from now? Are we overlapping today, are we? Let me have a look. I haven't seen that. If you've got any questions, guys, put them in the comments. YouTube, let me have a look. I didn't realise that. I'm on my normal time. How dare he? Any ideas about when the HDZero goggles will be released? The information we were given is around October. So all this crap about DJI being left behind when DJI founded, yes and no. DJI always move forward. Let's wait and see what happens first of all. Where are the antennas? Probably in the plastic sides. Mini 3 Pro is pretty good. If it's as close to that, it'll be very good. But if they're using image stabilization, that will have a cost. If they are using electronic image stabilization, it will not be the same as the Mini 3s. You're going to have to lose resolution to do that. No, that's Tuesday for JB. Oh, okay. You know, image stabilization will come at a cost. It doesn't come for free. Now, they could use a larger sensor and then crop in, but that will have an effect. There's no free so Vistas and E-units from them. Cadex still have plenty of Vistas, but not plenty. They had a fair amount of stock. It would be weird to FPV with image stabilization on. Yeah, if you have gyro data, potentially. DJI just... There is a rumor that they're going to add gyro data to the next update. Do I think the new E-unit will work with FPV-RC? No idea. That's not confirmed. We have no idea. We know the new E-unit supports 2.4 gig input only, but that is for what we believe is telemetry and RC. But the original RC remote doesn't do that. I don't think image stabilization would be on during flight. Well, you're going to need it. DJI don't really do after image processing. So you're going to have the same effect that you have on the action. It's going to be that same behavior as you have on the action. Did you see any firmware updates for the DJI controller? There's no new firmware for that thing at the minute. The goggle antenna looks like the antennas on my Mavic Pro controller. Yeah, they do. They fold in. Those two screws on the front were interesting in the leaked images. Let me just find them a minute. They were interesting. Let me find my... To me, I did wonder if they are definitely something like antenna... I wondered if they're the same screw distance as the current antennas. And I do wonder then if the antennas were swappable. That would be actually cool. Just to show you guys this was actually put on the FPV WTF Discord. So this gives you a bit of an idea of how the camera looks. This isn't the camera. This is someone's mock-up. Okay. This was the mock-up of the camera someone made that a number of us were saying, yeah, that's pretty close. So that just gives you an idea of how the camera looks. Okay, that isn't it exactly, but it's pretty close. Okay. I have a picture of the goggles that looks like it has antennas on the bottom. I haven't seen that one, no. The spec says 2 internal antennas and 2 externals. Looks like the camera on the Avata 2 does it. Yes and no. It's not the same, but it's the same overall style. But that is a similar look. That isn't it exactly, but that is similar to how the camera looks. Large plate front glass, and then the lens behind it. Let me just find the other image I was looking for with the goggles. It's just the ones with the screws on the front. There was so many images leaked. It was crazy. The guys actually did a funny thing with the camera. They were, they were drawing it up to try and get it as similar as they could. It was quite entertaining to watch. Because we've seen what the camera looks like. We just can't post the image, unfortunately. I'm surprised that hasn't leaked with the VTX. I could draw you the VTX on a piece of paper right now. There we go. So this image here, let me just find this one. This one's quite interesting. So when you look on the front, so you got these two screws on either side. Screw here and screw over there. Now that screw is not to hold that plastic fascia on. That screw definitely is not to hold the plastic fascia on. You can see, like, it wraps around it. It doesn't make any sense that that's to hold the plastic fascia on. The plastic fascia goes all the way around there. So there's a screw that side, screw that side. I do wonder if that is the same screw distance as on the current goggle and is designed to allow you to pop on. They're not antennas. They're the focus for the cameras. The focus for the screens, we believe. Over this side, Bruce, we believe all of the controls are on this side of it. I'm wondering if that's the same distance. A link to the FPV WTF Discord. I will post it in, it's this somewhere. Let me find it. You can get to it. If you just search for it on the GitHub, it should come up. Those stupid nodes are focus. That's what we think they're focus underneath. If they're backwards compatible. We do wonder if this can unscrew. They say no, but we do wonder. But yeah, quite interesting. Touchpad instead of buttons. Yeah, it's meant to be on the other side, isn't it? You've still got the... I'm surprised they kept the LED panel. Yeah, that looks like focus, an IPD, whatever. They look fairly large, but yeah, they're underneath. And then you got these strange vents on the front. The goggles, we believe they're OLED. That's what all the noise is. They look lighter. They also look a bit bigger than you think when you see them. They do look, they are smaller than the current goggle, but yeah, they're fairly big. But yeah, interesting times. Interesting times indeed. Bane definitely wants his face mask back. I think iFlight have done a crystal patch for them. We're going to have to see, aren't we? I wouldn't be shocked to see DJI release their own accessory antennas. DJI is about making money. But that was quite interesting. Did someone say for me to draw the new ear unit? If I tried to, I don't even think I could on this. You want me to draw the new ear unit live on air? Oh, that would be funny. What's this? That's a pencil. My drawing skills are pretty poor. No, see, that's already gone wrong. Let me just think. No. then we have the top piece that comes in like that. And then you have lots of holes all the way around in all sorts of strange shapes. There you go. If you want to see the new DJI unit, folks, you've seen it here first. There you go. There you go. Off the top of my head, that is... Let me zoom in for you. Where's the zoom? Oh, what's happened? Where's it gone? There you go. Off the top of my head, that's what the new ear unit looks like. There you go. For those who've seen it, you'll know what I mean. That's basically it. We believe the size... It's got more holes than I ever imagined. Nailed it. Matty's Drone World. He's like, nailed it. It's basically that. Actually, there's a couple of bits wrong. That's not there, so I shouldn't... is there a rubber? They shouldn't have holes there because there's no holes there. The holes are sort of down there, and the holes are not there. That's basically like pillar bits. But yeah. And then there's no hole there. That one's probably okay. So yeah, it looks like something like that. There you go. Honestly, side profile. Can you sign the drawing, please? Do you want me to sign the drawing? There you go. There you go. I've signed it. Bob Ross of painting. Yeah, I'm just going to... Anyone for the Bob Ross of painting? Let me just whack this one off. There's a Deadpool reference for anyone there. This will be the thumbnail for the review. Yeah, genuinely, that isn't far off. Genuinely, that really isn't that far off. Yeah. Why the holes? Why the holes, Bobby? Bobby Bags, why the holes? Why the holes indeed? That was the question I asked. Cooling, I suspect. But there was a lot more holes in it. Betty White. Bob Ross with an afro. Plenty of airflow. But yeah, think of it about the same colour as the DJI goggles, dark grey. That colour. 2 halves of aluminium that go together, which have like a sandwich piece there. I can't remember if that's completely flat or if that's like that. I'm gonna have to look at the image now, aren't I? You're gonna make me look at the image now to see which one it is. How far off? I did that off the top of my head. It's been a week since I looked at the image. Oh, I'm pretty good. Oh yeah, I'm not far off. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I probably need to... There does need to be a few changes on that. The holes aren't quite right. The holes are more oblong. The holes are more oblong. If I was to adjust it, these holes should be oblong, not... Let me just put that back up. So these... There. We'll just do this very quickly. The holes are more oblong all the way up than round. They're like slits. So the holes are more like that. On funny angles as well. I can't remember which angles, but yeah. You get the drift. There you go. Ear unit drawn. So, there you go. That's the new DJI unit. Pick it up off the floor. I haven't had it under your desk. I wish. I don't have one. I've just seen the picture. Use Photoshop and turn the image into a drawing. Yeah, yeah, flames on top. Holes, that is. Yeah, they probably are, Bruce. So that's it. It's nothing exciting. Just to trust me, it's nothing exciting. It really isn't. It's a grey box with some holes in it. Pretty much what Orqa showed us. Okay, there are 268 of you. No, there isn't. There's 265 of you. Please consider giving us a like. AVN have no idea on the goggles. Not been commented. Will DJI sell spare holes? Probably. Please do consider giving us a like for all of you people. We don't have the size. We believe it is between the Air unit and the Vista. We think it is 30 by 30, roughly external sizing. That is what it looks like from the CE images. We think the external sizing is 30 by 30 with 25 by 25 holes. That's what it appears. It's square, yes. Did someone... do I know if the goggles have Orqa, DJ Spill Hills? Magic Drone World, your opinion on the new units being dual band? According to the FCC spec, and we can only go by the FCC spec, they're not dual band, and they are dual band. They are single band transmitting. They are dual. Okay, 5.8 gigs is transmit and receive. 2.4 gigs is receive only. So there is dual band, but it is 2.4 gigs receive only at 5 megahertz carrier width. That can only be for telemetry and RC. It is not for video. So the Air unit has the capability to receive on 2.4 gigs up to a 5 meg carrier, which we understand to be DJI's traditional RC stroke telemetry link from the goggles. So my belief is it's got that so it works with the FPV remote or the motion controller. From the CE sizing, from all of that, it looks to be 30 by 30 with 25 by 25. That's what it appears to be. If you take the CE logo size as a certain size, because the CE logo has to be a certain size, that is a requirement. Let me just see if I can find that image that someone did. Someone did a really good image on this. I need to credit them as well for it, that they did the draw out. It actually might have been on JB's Discord. I saw that one, whoever did that one. Let me just see. Where is it? That's basing the CE logo and everything at the right size. Yeah, this was the image that was shared to me. Actually, no, it wasn't on JB's. It was somewhere else. So this was the rough sizing that was shared to me based on the size of the CE logo, which would hint there is a requirement for certain bits to be a certain size on the CE logo, because that's how CE certification works. And if that is correct, that then makes the Air unit 30 by 32 and then 25.5 by 25.5 hole spacing. But what we don't know is, are they actually holes or are they screws? We don't know at this time. But that's what that appears to be off the measurements based on that. So that's what it appears to be. It seems nuts, but that's what it appears to be. But again, remember, DJI does not conform to anyone's standards. But I still can't get it to work. Oh, Jimmy, how are you doing? Yes, it should work as long as you're using that. Seem to be 20, 30. Remember, DJI doesn't conform to anyone else's standards or requirements. They do what they do. Because they'll know people will make frames that accept the boards. But you'll just toss it in the back. You know, the standard ear unit didn't have mounting holes. We just tossed it in the back anyway. So the question is going to be how tall it is. Because if it's over 20 mil, we've got a problem. Jimmy, yeah, that should, you know, what I walked through on that should be the full steps to get the OSD working. But make sure, what version of ArduPilot are you on? We need slots, not holes. Yeah. Walksnail's 25.5 as well. Yes, unfortunately. Yes, it seems to be the case. This is why you're not getting an Avata. I had a problem with my VTX not staying connected, and Walksnail gave me firmware 23 by 23.5, and I'm on 4.2. Interesting. It should work. As I said, I simply just set it up on the bench, went through it, and as long as you follow those steps, you should have it working. The only thing I could think of is what flight controller is it, and is it a UART problem on that flight controller? Need more 25 by 25 AIOs? Yeah, probably. Well, you're not going to mount this above the... you're definitely not going to be mounting this above the thing anyway. Only takes 18.5 mil plates. Needs to be sanded down. Nice work, Van Gogh. There you go. That's as good as it gets. That is as brand new F405 Mini. I'm wondering if it's something with the flight controller. Have you tried a different UART? Try a different serial port. There may be something you need to do. I have had problems with Maytech flight controllers before. And what the hell was it? Right. Before you do anything else, try turning off hardware flow control. I can't remember how to do this, but I've had to do it before. Let me just find this. I'm sure there is an option for hardware flow control in ArduPilot, and I had to turn that off, and I can't remember how. I'm going to have to dig into that. Make sure you're on my Discord server. I'll have a dig into it and remember how to do it. Disconnect the GPS as well, yeah. There was something I had to do for... There was definitely something I had to do before. I need to look into. Van Gogh, but with both ears. Both very large nonetheless. Okay, guys. There are 243 of you fantastic people here. If you've got any questions, please do put it... What chance do you think that there aren't actual air units and it's just the unit that comes in the Avata drone for standard FPV and there's nothing wrong with the V2s? I don't know what you mean. Do you mean they're not releasing an air unit? What's the chance, do you think, that there aren't actual air units and it's just the unit that comes in the Avatar drone? Oh, I see what you mean. Initially, yes, but now I don't think it is. From what I've seen, no, this is entirely a separate unit. From what, yeah, I do know what you mean. There was this original thought that it was all one unit, but I've seen a picture of an air unit. Okay, guys, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat. I want to, a couple of other things just to talk about. I'm going to be talking about this week. I want to say a massive thank you to a few people, first of all. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has donated to the channel in the last 6 months, actually, because we would not have been able to have bought the Avatar system without your support. And without that support, it wouldn't have actually set us up for being able to buy this DJI system as well. Over the last few weeks, we have had a huge amount of super chats. We've also had a massive amount of donations, but also a massive increase as well on the Patreon subscribers, and I just want to say a massive thank you to all of them. For those who don't know, I do have a Patreon, which is this one here, where you can go over and join and support the channel if you want to. I just want to say a massive thank you from me to every single person who does. I would not be able to keep making content without your support. Now, this will allow us to be able to jump in on the Avata, keep saying Avatar, the Avata system, as well as the Goggles version 3. We would not have been in the position to do that just 6 months ago without the massive increase that we've had from it. So it's just a huge thank you from me. It really, really is. You know, the super chats have also made a massive difference as well. They have really helped push things along. They really, really have. Now, just to explain a few things from me, I've had a few things come in this week. Not many, actually. I'll show you this quickly. I have one of these, which I'm going to be looking at and having a play with this week. Yes, it's the Thumb Pro. So I'm going to be having a look. I'm going to be trying it for myself. Will be interesting to see how it comes and behaves. I haven't even turned it on yet because it's got no bloody battery in it. You need to actually connect it up. But yes, I have the Thumb Pro in, so I need to have a play on that one. I've also got the proper review coming of this power supply this week. I actually had to tear this down this week and do a little bit of a improvement is the term I'll use. So we're going to be trying that, and I got the review of this coming this week too. And then we're going to be talking about some more 3D printers. We've got a couple more coming. If you figure out how to stabilize it, you're a genius. It's Tim. Thank you for that. That's part of my list of things I need to look at. This week, I will be releasing at some point towards the end of the week, most likely, you will have the RF video on the Avatar system. Showed it up as a webcam. Oh, does it? I haven't even plugged it in yet, Ryan. How are you doing? Oh, it plugs in as a webcam, does it? That'll be fun. I will be doing the Avatar RF video, just like I've done the RF video for DJI, just like I've done the RF video for HDZero. I held back doing it a minute because there has been some changes in the firmware which would have rendered the video wrong. But now those changes have taken place, and that will allow me to then move forward with putting that video together. There is a change coming in the firmware for the Avatar system, which means it will behave exactly like DJI now in 50 megabits mode. So at the moment, and this is probably the first you'll hear of this, exclusive here for you gents and ladies. At the moment, in 50 megabits mode, it works on all 4 channels, unlike DJI. However, in the new firmware, it only works in 50 megabits mode in channels 1, 2, and 3, exactly like DJI. So they've realigned it to DJI's behavior completely now. So whilst the goggles still transmit, that hasn't changed. That's exactly the same. You will have the overall behavior being the same as DJI. So channels 1, 2, and 3, 50 megabits. Channel 8, 25 megabits. Do you know if it will have remote ID? The DJI drone... DJI can update all of their drones to support remote ID via firmware if they want to. Hobby RC have the Thumb in stock. Yeah, they do. Hobby RC. Can I compare the Thumb Pro to the Runcam 5? I don't have a Runcam 5 anymore, but let me see if I can get one. I can definitely give it a try. That came to me from Runcam. So where's the Guinness? I look like I need one. I need one after this week. But they're out of stock. It was in stock in the UK for a little bit, but it's gone back out now, I believe. Ear unit remote ID, unlikely. Yes, capable, not likely. DJI could update the current ear unit to do remote ID if they wished. Everything is possible. Oh, here we go. Hide user on the channel. Oh, there we go. Boom, gone. I was wondering what time they'd come. Thank you, RC Adventures, for that. I will, through the super chat, massively appreciated, my friend. Can you compare the RC thumb? I'll definitely have a look. Lovely spam, chips and spam. My girlfriend is texting me. Yes, that's the first spots I've seen this week. Yeah, they've been definitely more quiet. They definitely have been quieter. So, yeah, there's interesting times coming up. There's a lot going on around the corner. So we'll have the RF video coming up for that. I'm going to be doing I haven't quite figured out what I want to do yet, but I want to do a whole new look at HDZero, and I want to talk to ATX Airborne because I'm probably going to steal some of his stuff that he's got on his amazing website, which I showed you earlier, this one here. So I want to talk a bit about this, so I need to have a chat with him. But I want to get this new camera as well. I haven't looked if it's in stock in the UK yet. It's interesting times for FPV. When did you build your AOS 7? It's in the back. It isn't finished. It's finished, but it isn't. I couldn't get batteries for it in the UK. I haven't actually flown it yet because I couldn't get 6S packs the size I wanted anywhere in the UK. There seems to have been huge issues getting batteries in the UK. I'm going to have to tear down the DJI Avata. Someone will. Do I buy all my gear in the UK? Predominantly, yes. What size batteries was I going for? I was looking for 6S. I think I was looking for 6S 3000s or 3005s. Ban them, don't delete. Yeah, when you do it, you remove the channel, you remove the unhide, you hide the user from the channel is what you do. I think it was 3000, 3005s. There was a huge shortage of 6S batteries in the UK at one point. I haven't looked this week. Will the RX TX be responsible for the remote ID? Are all TX capable of providing remote ID? Anything's capable via firmware. It depends the protocol. See, remote ID has about 5 different protocols. So it's a complex situation. Yes, technically, anything could be made to comply if it's got the right chipset. You can make an Express LRS receiver turn into a remote ID with the ESP32. Anything is capable. DJI can update the firmware on all of their drones to do it if they want to. They can comply. It's what they choose to comply with. Remote ID is capable of both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So the specification is both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. But we haven't seen the full ASTM spec yet because you've got to spend 60 quid on it. And I don't fancy spending 60 quid on it. I'm waiting for someone to order it and then leak it. Seller has to charge VAT and then pay UK government. Next to impossible to stuff abroad. Yeah. 2.4 gigs or 5.8. Yeah. Have I tried Digicom? No, I haven't tried them. No, I haven't. Okay, folks. I'm going to wrap this one up there. I want to say a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has watched tonight. I want to say a massive thank you to you all especially the people who've donated via the super chats. It is really, really appreciated. I would not be able to continue to do this without your support. If you are interested in supporting the channel more, there is a link to my Patreon in the description. There's also a free link to my Discord server. It isn't chargeable. There is a Patreon area on there, but please do check it out if you want to come over and say hello. Please do make sure you're subscribed, because we'll be back same time, same place next week, all being well, in one way or another. Hello, Sean. Oh, my God. Sean comes in with a super chat. Thank you, mate. Thank you for all the information. As always, guys, we'll be covering all the stuff as it happens. Things are a little bit quieter, but there's a massive amount of great stuff around the corner. Please do also make sure you check out both Bruce, RC Model Reviews and XJet, and Sean, the amazing Geeksvana channel as well. Sean is a great guy in the UK. If you don't know, he covers a lot more of the camera drone stuff, but also legislation and a lot more cool stuff like that too. That's it from me. Same time, same place next week. Thank you very much, and I will speak to you guys soon. Got to press the button once.